Madam Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Is it important for you to keep informed of what happens in the world around you? My fellow Canadians, as a finance minister, I stand before you tonight to A, inform you about the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and B, to talk to you about the future of the CBC. The CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, is an agency owned by the government to transmit and broadcast news around the country. The CBC was born in 1936, and it has now 77 years we've been broadcasting through radio, television, internet in both official languages. It has 8,600 employees. It has 82 radio stations, 27 television stations, internet-based services, and satellite radio. The CBC has national studios in Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, and Calgary. Also, it has 12 foreign offices around the world. And in fact, there's only the BBC from the UK, Radio Australia, and the CRI, which is the National Agency for China, that have this widespread broadcasting that the CBC has. However, with the US, there's Public Radio International, PRI. And PRI has the same coverage, and yet it has no funding from the government. It comes all from donations of private individuals and institutions. Now, let's review the current situation with the CBC. You are interested in good services. You are all interested in competition. So talking about competition, we have discovered that the CBC's web-based services have an unfair advantage when we consider the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, and other national papers. In fact, these companies have to really survive, and in order to survive, they have to charge their audience to have access. Whereas in the case of the CBC, you have the web-based, full of content at no cost. Also, we know that the CBC has been criticized by having only the left-wing position in Canada. Now, we may be thinking right now whether or not we should keep in the hands of the government our national agency. The truth of the matter is that news are widespread already in Canada. They are available from CTV, from Globe, and from other internet-based companies. In fact, this brings us to think about and consider. Privatizing the CBC will be a bold step, but it'll be the right one. It'll be the right one because it will save billions, 1.1 billion in subsidies for Canadians. And so, not only that, as a matter of fact, also, the CBC's, the selling of the CBC will provide with a lot of cash for the government to use it to pay down the debt, and also to maybe channel those money so that we can have better health programs. So, in reality, there is already the way to privatize the CBC because there are qualified companies out there. You have Rogers, you have TELUS, you have Bell, and you will have other entrants in the new market which will provide for more competition. My fellow Canadians, in conclusion, the privatization of the CBC is for the good of all of us and for the good for all Canadian citizens in this country. Thank you for your attention.
So you're supposed to take questions now?
I can entertain some questions.
I'll ask a question. I thought that with privatizing the CBC, I thought part of the CBC's mission was to protect Canadian content. So what happens to Canadian content when you privatize the CBC?
Well, that has been already planned. What's going to happen with the privatization program is that there's going to be some participation from the government. It's just it will be minority. But in the terms of the agreement, there is provision so that there is a minimum Canadian content that will be kept. And that will assure that we will continue to receive our Canadian content news. Yes.
Has the option of donation funding being considered, and can you describe that approach?
Yeah, well, we do have the example of Public Radio International. And yes, of course, in some of the, in the plans of privatizing, there is a portion that we will be open to donations. And that will ensure also that there's, more widespread distribution of what the interest is. So there will be a piece of the action for donations.
Does anyone here? It's brought to you by Rogers every 5 minutes.
No, you won't hear that.
Okay.
Because there's a number of players that will be there, including you as a donator. Yes?
So as the CBC looked at two options, first of all, recognizing where their money makers are and focusing more on that, and then eliminating some of the real dogs, and then keeping the status quo, just making it more efficient. Have they looked at that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you may know that not in the distant past, there have been some cuts to make it more efficient. And what we're seeing is so far is that really what the plans were for the content are not being met. And so that has been considered as one of the options. But it has been determined that it's not the best option.
If the CBC is going to be sold off, would it be restricted to Canadian offers, or would it also be offered to foreign offers as well?
It is also open to foreign investors, but the chunk of it is going to be for Canadian-based companies.
So, when you say chunk, you mean it'll be sold by parts, not as a whole?
No, it will be sold as a whole. There will be 20% from the Canadian government. As we said, we will keep 20% for foreign owners and the rest for local-based companies. Yes?
What about all the bricks and mortar, all the things that CBC owns? Would that be all parceled out too?
Actually, there's plenty of options of what to do with the brick and mortar. There are so many programs that can be added and used those facilities for other purposes, and also for the purposes of also having programs for broadcasting. So there was no short of options for the facilities that are used.